This drive around the league is brought to you by your Greater Washington area Hyundai dealers.
Summer is here. Hurry in for epic savings on award-winning SUVs and sedans at the Hyundai Epic Summer Sales Event.
Get 0% APR and make no payments for 90 days on the Tucson, or get $2,750 in savings. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
That is Graham Paulsen. I'm Danny Rouhier, talking Nats here this morning. GP, not a lot good happening right now. Steven Strasburg has to pitch through a tingle in his hand, and his fingers aren't feeling great. The offense is really scuffling. About to get swept here, to be continued, by the Baltimore Orioles, kind of a rebuilding young club. Nats scuffling a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Not good for them. They entered play against the Orioles on Sunday when they actually were down 5-2 when the rains came and they couldn't get the tarp on the field. As you said, they got to finish that game, but may well lose that game without a big rally late. With the second worst record in the National League. Not necessarily where they wanted to be, where they thought they would be, but a lot has not gone right. You know, Max Scherzer leaves the start after an inning. Has kind of had one signature Max outing. Now closing in on basically 3 weeks into the season. Strasburg had not pitched, and then when he did throw, wasn't 100%. The rotation, it's been a lot of, Austin Voth and Eric Fetty on the hill, and Anibal Sanchez didn't throw well in either of his starts, and in one of them really, really struggled. So, yeah, it hadn't been pretty. The offense we knew would be inconsistent early. They're trying to find roles for guys. It's good to see Juan Soto back and getting going. But if they're going to get hot and they're going to make a run, not just in the regular season, but in the expanded playoff field, Danny, they need Max and Strauss and Corbin to be excellent, and they need Juan Soto and Victor Robles and Starlin Castro and Howie Kendrick to mash. I mean, there's a lot that has to go right.
You touched on the guys on offense. I want to hammer that for a second. Obviously, you don't replace Anthony Rendon. They don't make many of those guys. That's why they make so much money, and Rendon deserves it. But this offense right now, entering play this weekend, I think was 28th in the league in runs per game. They're averaging about 2 runs less per game than they were at the end of last year. Now, I know, again, you lost Anthony Rendon. That is a factor, but he's not a 2-runs-a-game player. Those don't exist in Major League Baseball. This, to me, is about Turner. It's about Eaton. It's about Castro. It's about guys that are everyday players having to pick up the slack a little bit. Again, they entered play this weekend as a team with one more home run than Nick Castellanos, a guy I wanted them to sign this offseason to help upgrade that offense. Where's it going to come from? Where is this offense going to start to grind out some more runs?
Well, Soto, I would say, is a big plus, obviously. I mean, you mentioned they haven't had Rendon. They also really haven't had Soto. They've had him for less than 4 games at this point. So that's a huge part of this. I think if you take the 2 best hitters off of any team and then you say go play ball, they're going to be probably a run or change worse over a couple of weeks sample, which is what we have. And that's what they did by letting Anthony Rendon go to L.A. and not having Juan Soto. But, yes, you're right. I mean, they could easily make up for that in a week or 2 span. They could easily, for a couple of weeks at a time, get by if they get some guys that are hot. But it just hadn't happened. I mean, Eric Thames with runners in scoring position a few times has not had good at-bats. Castro has actually hit a little more than I anticipated. But finally, in his 42nd at-bat on Sunday, just hit his first home run. They need power from him. Singles, doubles, obviously very, very good. But they signed him to hit home runs and to drive in runs, which hadn't necessarily been happening. They're lucky that Asdrubal Cabrera's come through in some big spots and some explosive games. But, yeah, Trey Turner's got to be on base more than he has. He has not been a factor running, stealing bases yet. That's not going to work. They need Adam Eaton to be a pest at the top of the order. So there's a lot that just hadn't quite gone right.
Sean Doolittle, how do you handle it? What do you do? I mean, we've kind of gone through this a couple times, maybe not to this extreme, where you can't overuse him, but you got to build up his arm strength to be able to get him back. David Martinez said it. They need him, but right now they can't afford to put him in a close game.
No, they can't. And frankly, I'm surprised he pitched in the 3-run game that he pitched in over the weekend, the way that he'd been throwing. But I understand Davey's logic. He needs Doolittle, and if Doolittle's not right, then you're in big trouble anyway. So let's get him right in those scenarios. I just think, you need more of a safety net there. I'm pitching him in much lower leverage situations. And the fastball velocity is down. I haven't looked at spin rate, which is so important to him to have that fastball look elevated at the top of the zone. But I would venture to guess that's not the same because the life doesn't look the same. This is a stuff issue. He did go through this problem similarly, as you said, a year ago in August. He came out of it on the other side. But, he's well past 30 at this point, and he's trying to get himself right on the hill after a really weird offseason where he didn't get to ramp up the way he typically did. So it's tough to watch. I mean, everybody likes Dew. He was critical to the World Series run. I got my fingers crossed for the guy. But right now, if you're asking me if I'm managing how I'm handling him, I mean, he's just not going to pitch in competitive games until he turns a corner.
I'd add Tanner Rainey gets the 8th inning for me until further notice is kind of I'd flip right there. But that is Grant. I'm Danny. We'll talk to you guys next week.
This drive around the league is brought to you by your Greater Washington area Hyundai dealers.
Summer is here. Hurry in for epic savings on award-winning SUVs and sedans at the Hyundai Epic Summer Sales Event.
Get 0% APR and make no payments for 90 days on the Tucson, or get $2,750 in savings. Visit buyhyundai.com today.